This story contains references to kidnapping, sexual violence, and abuse. Reader discretion is advised. In May of 1977, 20-year-old Colleen Stan was hitchhiking from her home in Eugene, Oregon to Northern California to surprise a friend for her birthday. Hitchhiking wasn't unusual in the 70s. People often took to the road with a thumb and trust in strangers. That day, Colleen had already turned down 2 rides before accepting one from a seemingly normal couple traveling with a baby. The man, Cameron Hooker, and his wife, Janice, seemed safe enough. The presence of the infant put Colleen at ease. But just a few miles outside of Red Bluff, California, Colleen's life took a horrifying turn. Without warning, Hooker pulled the car off the road near a secluded area. Before Colleen could react, he held a knife to her throat. He forced her to put on a terrifying homemade contraption, a headbox made of wood and lined with insulation that completely blocked light and muffled sound. It was designed to disorient and silence her. He brought her to his home, where he would hold her captive for the next 7 years. Colleen was kept in a box under the couple's waterbed for up to 23 hours a day. She was beaten, raped, starved, and brainwashed. Cameron Hooker was a sadistic sexual predator who wanted to create a real-life sex slave. Inspired by pornographic literature and the Marquis de Sade, he turned Colleen into his personal prisoner. He even made her sign a slave contract under the fictional authority of a shadowy organization he called the Company. He told her that the Company would torture and kill her family if she ever tried to escape.
Colleen's compliance wasn't due to chains, it was psychological. Hooker manipulated her through fear, isolation, and ritualistic abuse. He allowed limited outings like visiting her family, but convinced her she was being watched. Incredibly, Colleen once visited her own family years into the captivity, smiling in family photos. Her family, confused by her submissive behavior and odd explanations, suspected she was part of a cult. But they had no idea what was really going on.
By 1984, Janice Hooker, Cameron's wife and accomplice, began to unravel under the weight of her guilt. She had been complicit in Colleen's torture for years, partly out of fear, partly out of a twisted deal with Cameron that allowed her to retain her position as wife if he could have a slave. Eventually, Janice helped Colleen escape. She drove her to a bus station, gave her money, and encouraged her to contact her family. Colleen fled and did not look back. Later that year, Janice went to the police and turned Cameron in exchange for immunity from prosecution. Cameron Hooker was arrested and charged with multiple counts of kidnapping and sexual assault. The trial revealed horrifying evidence: drawings, the wooden headbox, the contracts, even a homemade torture rack. In 1985, Hooker was sentenced to 104 years in prison. He was denied parole in 2015 and again in 2022. He remains incarcerated as of now. Colleen Stan eventually rebuilt her life. She married, had a child, and went on to become a public speaker and advocate for survivors of trauma and abuse.
The case of The Girl in the Box is one of the most disturbing examples of long-term captivity and psychological control in modern American history. It showed that chains aren't always physical, that manipulation, fear, and psychological trauma can be just as imprisoning. Colleen Stan's story is not only one of unimaginable horror, but also of survival, resilience, and recovery.
Lauren Spira was the kind of young woman you'd expect to thrive in a college town like Bloomington, Indiana. Blonde, petite, and vivacious, Lauren stood just 4 feet 11 inches and weighed 90 pounds. Originally from Scarsdale, New York, she was a fashion merchandising major at Indiana University. Friends described her as warm, energetic, and trusting. But beneath her cheery exterior, Lauren struggled with a heart condition that required medication, a fact that would become critical later. On the evening of June 2, 2011, Lauren went out to a popular local bar called Kilroy's Sports Bar. She left her phone and shoes behind at the bar's sandy outdoor patio, perhaps planning to return soon. Surveillance footage shows her walking away barefoot at 2:30 a.m., drunk and unstable, but seemingly unbothered. That was the last time Lauren was seen on video. From the bar, Lauren walked back to her apartment with a friend named Corey Rossman, a fellow IU student. According to Corey, they went to her apartment complex, Smallwood Plaza, but were confronted by other residents, including Lauren's boyfriend's roommate, who was angry that she was so intoxicated. A brief scuffle occurred. Corey claimed he was punched and lost memory of the rest of the night. Later, surveillance cameras captured Lauren leaving again around 2:51 a.m. with Rossman. She was seen staggering, needing help to walk. They made their way to Rossman's apartment, located just a few blocks away. At around 3:30 a.m., she reportedly left that apartment and walked with another man, Jason Rosenbaum, Rossman's roommate, to his apartment. He claimed she left again around 4:30 a.m. to walk home, alone, barefoot, without her phone or ID. She was never seen again. Lauren's disappearance shocked Bloomington. Her parents flew in immediately, organizing search parties, handing out flyers, and holding vigils. Her mother, Charlene Spire, often confronted those who were with Lauren that night, pressing them for answers. But no one seemed to know what happened after 4:30 a.m. What stood out immediately to investigators was the tight circle of men who saw Lauren in the final hours of her life: Corey Rossman, Jason Rosenbaum, and another friend named Mike Beth. They all claimed they didn't know what happened to her and lawyered up quickly. None were ever named suspects, but their silence frustrated both the police and the public. Despite intensive efforts, including drones, cadaver dogs, and searches of nearby lakes and wooded areas, no trace of Lauren was ever found. Some believe Lauren may have accidentally overdosed at one of the men's apartments, possibly due to a combination of alcohol and her heart medication. If she died, the theory goes, the men panicked and disposed of her body to avoid charges. This would explain their silence and refusal to cooperate beyond initial interviews. Yet no one confessed. No DNA. No body. No smoking. Others believe Lauren was abducted after leaving alone around 4:30 a.m. Bloomington isn't considered dangerous, but early morning streets can be perilous. Some theorized she could have been taken by a passing driver, perhaps trafficked or killed. But again, no trace. No witnesses. No reports of screams, vehicles, or sightings. Could she have been targeted by a stranger? Perhaps someone watching her from the bar or the street. There were unconfirmed reports of a white pickup truck seen in the area, but police never tied it to the case. Lauren's case became a media sensation, drawing comparisons to Natalie Holloway's disappearance in Aruba. But unlike Natalie's case, Lauren's had no foreign complications. This was a quiet Midwestern town with no obvious suspects or motives. Lauren's parents never gave up. They kept her name in the public eye, hoping someone, anyone, would break their silence. But over the years, tips slowed, searches ended, and the town moved on. In a particularly emotional letter to the public, Charlene Spire once wrote, "You know who you are. You are someone's son. Maybe you're a father. Maybe you have a daughter. We beg you, tell us where to find Lauren." But no one came forward. Lauren's boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe, who had gone to bed early that night and didn't see her at the bar, also distanced himself in the years that followed. Most of those involved never spoke publicly again. By 2021, 10 years later, the case was considered cold. Indiana State Police still list it as an open investigation, but no active leads have surfaced in years. Why did so many of Lauren's friends refuse to cooperate with police after their initial interviews? Why did she leave alone, barefoot, without her phone? Did someone in that tight-knit circle know more than they admitted? Why was no trace, no clothing, no body, no blood ever found? For a case with so many surveillance cameras and so many potential witnesses, it remains stunningly opaque. Lauren Spire was 20 years old when she vanished. Her parents have since become advocates for missing persons, working with other families, searching for answers not just in Lauren's case, but in others like hers. No arrests were made. No body has ever been found. And those final hours, captured in blurry surveillance frames, remain the last known moments of a life filled with promise. Whoever knows what happened that night has kept their secret for over a decade. And unless someone speaks, Lauren Spire may never come home.